Hello, everybody. Mary here with another live stream. Pardon the weird angle today, but I'm working really small, and so we had to kind of set this up in a way that was a little bit closer and from an angle that you can see what I'm going to be working on today. Um, but like always, please feel free to ask questions, leave a comment. I'll be checking to answer those as we go. But today I'm going to kind of be doing something different. A few live streams ago, I did this painting. Ooh, it's hard to show. This painting, kind of Christmassy colors, sort of the abstract flowers that I've been working on. And I really liked this, and a lot of people were liking this, and it's got that sort of holiday feel. And so I wanted to do kind of a little series of that. And so I actually started doing this already. I started painting these. Actually, it was soon after I painted that I kind of jumped into this, but I only did the first 2 layers. And so you can see from the series that I was going to do kind of just a miniature version almost of the painting itself. I just have that background maroon red in there right now, and then that's that underpainting of the bright red. And then the next one is just a little bit closer up. And then this one's even closer. So the fun part about this, at least in my opinion, is that they become even more abstract the more you zoom in. And so, it already can look kind of abstract. This style that I'm going for is kind of these flowery, I don't know, kind of round bulbous flower things. And that's already kind of abstract. And then you take that image and then you kind of zoom up closer and closer, and it just starts to look like these circles. And so I'm going to have kind of some fun with mixing the same colors and using the same colors on each one, but then kind of seeing how it goes as I go along, because I don't really know exactly how like this one, the last super abstract one, is going to look necessarily. But, we're going to figure it out. This is the whole point of these live streams, is you get kind of an in into my creative process and kind of what I'm thinking. So obviously we're working small, so I need to get out the small brushes. This is not going to be helpful. Same with this is not going to be helpful, although I might have used this to do the red, but we don't need those anymore. So we're going to use these little guys today. And let's see here. I need to start, because I've already got the background in there. I'm going to mix the sort of cream colored background and do that next, because then I can reveal those other little silhouetted flowers in the distance. So it's definitely a cream, which means I need to grab my white here. Pardon the messy palette. It's hard to tell what I'm making here, but I'm putting a little bit of red in with the white. And then we're going to mix a little yellow. Now I grayed it down quite a bit, so I'm going to have to add blue, or maybe it was purple, but let's start with blue. It might make it green. And it did. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. You can kind of compare it if I want to go really exact. You can compare it to the original. Looks too pink. I think I do want purple. Sometimes neutral colors like that, browns and tans, tend to be harder to mix, because you have to ask yourself, like, what colors do I see in that, So I'm gonna put ooh, yeah, there we go. Little bit of purple in there. That's closer. Now I can add a little bit more yellow, brown it up a bit. But it's a slow process. You don't want to just jump into it too quickly. Actually, might need a little bit of a green hue to it. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Okay, so there's my color. Ta-da! I'm going to start with the one that's more like the painting, the far away one, to show you kind of how that's going to work. And I'm just going to not copy the composition of the original, but just think about where I want those other little guys to be, and then I have to avoid them and their stems. So again, we're working quite small, but there's two little guys there. I might have one like going off the page and coming down a little ways here. And then maybe another one in here. Can't forget the stems. Once I outline them, then I can fill in that background a little bit better. Let's see here. Put another guy kind of going up this way and down. All right, I'm gonna start to fill in some shapes because it starts to get a little bit confusing if I don't. So, and I want to continue to keep that sort of painterly style, and those flowers in the distance should be kind of softer edges and stuff. So I tend to use my finger a lot. There, you can kind of see those little guys popping up in the background. Blend a little bit, get a little roughness in there. Let's see here. Stick a little one back there, kind of like that. And then fill this in. And I want to put kind of some back in here. Some ones that bend a little bit, just add a little bit of interest. I forget to do that sometimes. I'm like, they don't have to be straight up and down. They can be kind of bendy. So I'm going to put another one maybe here. And I can erase any of these later by just painting over them. But for now, I don't, because I outline them, I don't want them to look like they're haloed around them. And so I have to make sure that I'm blending as I go here. Keeping the softness. Kind of like that. Tuck another one back in here. And I might just hint at a few spots down in here that have a little bit of the cream showing through. Something like that maybe. Okay. Now in my original, I did brighten up a few spots, so I'm gonna come up in here and just like, ooh, maybe a little too yellow. Just mostly with some white to kind of put some in, just to add a little bit of, ooh, there's a sparkle in there, you know, a little bit brighter, draws your eye in a different way. I don't want too much of the texture of the canvas because it can be a little distracting. So I have to work on covering some of that. Okay, I'm liking that. So there's the miniature version so far. And now I'm going to do the same while I have the colors out for that background. I'm going to move to the next size. And for this size, I want to pretty much do the same thing, but I can decide exactly kind of where I want to put those backgrounds because they're not exactly, it's not like this is a zoom up version of this other one. So let's see here. Oops. So it's a good thing I mixed enough of that color. I'm going to put one here. Maybe another one. Let's fix that. Let's see. I'm struggling with this one here. Maybe. Something like that. Tuck one down in here. Just the top of one right there, maybe. Let me fill this in so I can kind of visualize what's happening here. Kind of want another one kind of down centered almost down in here. Okay, that might be a good amount. Let's try that. There's an odd number, so I guess that makes it perfect. Odd number of bright ones to dark ones, bright ones and dark ones. An odd number is just a little bit more interesting. When there's even numbers, our brains like to kind of divide things in half and in half and in half and stuff like that. And it's just good to kind of avoid that part of the brain when looking and creating art. Okay, I might halo that one a little bit with some dark. I like when I leave a little bit of some, did I do that on this one? I guess a little bit in spots, left some dark around the rim of the red one. So we're gonna do a little bit of that. So that's what it's looking like so far. Up close version. I'm gonna bring this dark all the way down. This light all the way down. Filling in the negative spaces. I'm one of those artists that struggles a little bit with going abstract, and so doing something like this really helps me, where taking something that I, went from a specific inspiration like flowers and then break it down into simpler shapes from there, but still looking like flowers, right? And then from there, zooming in closer and closer until it's like, oh, like I can make abstract if I just start with something that is recognizable. Okay, so there's the basic background. Now I'm going to do just the little sparkles of the lighter color here and there. A little bit down here too. It just kind of draws your eye to a little spot. I love that. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. I want to make sure that like there's no weird canvas bumps showing that I don't like. I don't want those things to be distracting. Okay. Oh, there's like a little pokey thing right there. Get rid of that. Okay, so there's the second one. First one, second one. Actually, this first one has a little bit more texture than I want. It's a little too grainy. Okay, so there's one, there's two. Now we're gonna go to the big guy, and this one's gonna be interesting because there's gonna be a lot less of this color showing. But let's give it a try here. I need to figure out where a big one in the back is gonna come from. I think I wanna put it like here. So that's like the dark one right there, and then maybe the stem kind of following these other ones this direction. I probably made that actually a little too thin for how big this is. That's the trick, is making sure that I stick to the size that I'm trying to accomplish here. So let's go a little thicker. There we go. It's hard to know if I'm gonna want to put, maybe I cut this off, put another guy here, maybe there's another stem that comes by this way. So if I fill this in, is that gonna create that look that I want? Oop. Got a little bit of paint where you don't want it to go. Happens all the time. Okay, I'm gonna just, there we go. Just enough. Okay. Let's see. Little corner there. So this was a flower up here. So I want, oops, man, I'm a little clumsy today. Okay, we're gonna fix this. I think I want this to just go all the way this direction. Kind of like that. So you can kind of see them, but they're so much zoomed in that it just doesn't quite look like the original. But if you knew it was, and it obviously hanging with the other ones, I thought you're gonna know, but it at least looks cool. Okay, we're gonna do a little hint of that down here. And a little bit here. You don't want to put too much contrast towards this edge or edges and corners of your pictures, but so I have to kind of be aware of that, like how bright this is next to the corner. All right. So I think that's good. Let's do a little pop of the brighter color. A little bit warmer might be nice. A little bit there, a little there, a little bit there. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Oh, that looks like a rectangle. Fix it. All right, there we go. So there's the third one. So just to get a little context here, first one, and then second one and third one. They could be displayed in any order, but there's the background color. Now I think I'm gonna go for the dark green stems next. So with that said, I need to mix mix that color. So I'm going for like this super dark green, which was actually a lot harder when I did it because the paint was more transparent than I was hoping it would be. But we're gonna make a green first, like that. So I took this more phthalo blue with this yellow to make it a little bit more basic green, aqua green. I might add a little bit of ultramarine to it. And then we're gonna have to add probably brown, or sorry, that is purple. Add purple, maybe add a little red, neutralize it a little bit. It's pretty dark, like we're talking like almost black. It's those highlighted green parts that will go on top later. So I wanna go for something pretty deep. So that's kinda, it's getting closer to what I want. That's probably good. Yeah, I think we'll do that. All right, so then I'm gonna start with the first one again and work our way around because we kind of learn as we go, and obviously it gets less and less towards the end. So, all right, so with these guys, I can put in, it gets really thin in here, so I gotta make sure I paint small, but they got little things at the top, make them look more like flowers, little greenery here. And then that transitions down. Actually, because I have a lot of red down in here, I might kind of isolate an area that could be another flower and put a little stem. So then that becomes a little flower later. And then we're gonna put in some stems. I don't wanna take out my red completely where I've left it for the stem areas. So I wanna kinda work with those. I'm just gonna carry it all the way down for now. So I don't really know what I'm doing with the bottom yet. There's that. Let's see. Now down in here, I can kind of come in and put some like greenery that aren't stems. Actually, I could put another flower like here. So I got a little bit of white. Possibly another one here too. I'm just gonna put a few in there. They might get covered up. I don't know. We'll see as we go. But you can imagine the little red top on each of those little guys. Okay, then I'm gonna put in a little bit of greenery tufts. I don't know exactly what like plant I was going for, but again, it's more abstract, right? So it doesn't have to look like anything specific. Oh man, I'm getting some white from somewhere. Gotta avoid the white. Oh. All right, and there's a lot of dark down in here, and so I want to kind of come in and give the base of this some deeper values. Doesn't have to be everywhere. I can leave some of the red popping through. It's easier smaller, believe it or not. I think it's because I know that there's like less space to work with and less surface area to worry about. There we go. I wanted a little bit going into the background slightly. Okay, kind of fill in some areas down in here so I don't have too much red. I'm putting a little bit more on top of it, on top of where I put it, because it is a little transparent, so it's showing the red through, and I don't really like that look. Looks unfinished, and while I have the paint, I might as well come in and kind of get rid of some of that by putting another layer. Okay, I think I like that. It's a little maybe too much over in here. All right, so while I have that color, I'm gonna switch to these guys, number 2, and put in the little greenery underneath the bulb first, and then the stems, and then maybe hint at a few things, but remember it's not really zoomed up all the way to the bottom greenery, so I'm gonna put in little heads here and stems. Again, leaving some of the red. You can see I left the red on the outside of the stem. It just adds another layer. You know, if I filled it in exactly, it's just like I'm losing the sort of rawness of the picture. You have to learn to loosen up a little bit. I'm telling myself that. Loosen up, loosen up. Don't worry about covering something exactly. I want this to be a little bit thicker, actually, right at the top. Okay. And then over here, a little simpler. Again, it's kind of transparent, so we're going to make sure we put kind of another layer as we go, so I don't have to do that after. And then here, little guy, maybe we'll have it stick out the sides a little bit. And this one, on off the page a little bit, and down. Yeah, I think that's good. Now I'm going to just hint at the tops of some of this greenery here. Kind of peeking through, making a little bit of a statement there with just coming in, just hinting at that a little bit. Maybe this corner will be a little darker. And that's kind of all I want to do so that it looks like close-up version of that. Okay, let's see. I think that I'm gonna just let it go, otherwise I'm gonna overwork it. All right, then this will be interesting because this is the zoomed up version. Now this is when I could get a little bit too crazy, or I could get a little too simple. I don't know which way to go. Let's try it. So basically in these other images, I did like 2 little brush strokes to make the little top of the greenery there, and then the stem was kind of straight down. I wonder if I still do that, or if I try to simplify it even more, or complex it a little bit. And like as if you were zooming in to see more detail and did something like this, where it's like, oh, there's actually more to that stem and that greenery than what's far away. I don't know. Do I like that? Let me do it again on one of these other ones. We can decide. It makes it a little bit more, they look like tomatoes, upside down tomatoes. I don't know if I like that or not, but let's, again, do it a third time. Oh, here's another stem. I was like, this looks weird over here. It's because the stem is coming out the other side. Do I like this? I think there's just a little too much happening, so I'm going to simplify these just a touch so that they're not quite so tomato-y looking. Yeah, they have a little bit more definition because you're closer up, but they're not like crazy detail. Yeah, something like that maybe. So it looks like you're looking up closer at this one, and there's just a little bit more definition in the greenery there. Okay, now this one hopefully is kind of mostly dry. It is. So we're gonna make that sort of light green, which I want to make sure my brush is actually really cleaned off, because I don't want any brown or red in this green because it's pretty vibrant. I think it was this blue and this yellow. I think, I could be wrong. And then I'm gonna make sure that I add a little white because it wasn't showing up like I wanted it to last time. You learn from the first time you do it. So I'm making this color here. It's not the right color. More yellow, more yellow, more yellow. It's always good to get what's on your brush off because you often have colors that aren't mixed in, and as you paint on your canvas, it's like a different color, and it's like, no. So make sure I always like twist and rub my brush like this to make sure that I actually get like all the color off. Okay, so then once I think I like that. I think that's what's there. Looks about right. Okay, so I'm just gonna hint at this at a few spots, definitely on the little guys here and there. Not, not everywhere. Just little hints of something. And then we're gonna do a little bit on the stems. I want, focal points kind of this area, I think, of this picture. So I want to make sure that I put in some of those, but not a ton, because I want this to be the focus. So I might not even touch these other stems much at all. Okay, and then I put a little bit on the greenery, especially in this area here. Ooh, 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 too bright. I didn't do a ton of this. So I didn't want it to go too green on me. Hint at the tops of the little leafy things, grassy texture. Maybe put a little bit down in here. Kind of like that. I don't know if you can see that. I might, on the brighter parts here where the focal point is, just do a slightly brighter layer on top just to see if I can bring the eye there just a little bit more. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. All right. I think that's about good. I think I like that. Now we can move to the second one and do the same thing, but we're not going to have as much of it. Focusing on kind of the focal point areas and working with less of it for other spots. Okay, a little bit thicker in there and here. I want to go too crazy. It's getting a little bright. Okay. That's better. I can always go into my dark again and cover something up if I'm noticing too much of something. That's better. Okay, so there's that guy. A little bit of green. Look kind of like roses or something now. And then this one, again, I'll do sort of a similar thing where I'm gonna give it a little bit more interest, more detail, not too much. Oop, use my finger a little bit here too. Okay. Again, they look like upside down tomatoes. Look, looks like tomatoes. Kind of cute. But we don't want them to be tomatoes, so we're gonna have to fix that. But we'll figure that out as we go. All right. Now one thing I'm obviously not doing is the dripping. When I did this one, you can see that I have drips that in each layer that kind of come down. It's just you can't get drips small enough really for something this size, and it would just be too much. It would probably overtake it and distract from it. So we don't need the drippage on these guys. However, I was kind of thinking I would put in instead of this yellowy color here, this golden color, I was gonna do like a light blue, and I don't know if that's gonna be weird or kind of cool, but I think I want to try it. So I'm gonna mix that up a little bit and grab ultramarine blue and white. Like that's pretty much what I was thinking. I don't know if I want it to be kind of greenish. I think this is probably good. Let's try it. Oh, wrong green. These blues are so different. You don't want to get those mixed up. I want this blue. Let's just give it a try. If not, we can wipe it off. But it kind of was crystally looking, snow looking to me, and so I thought let's plop that in there and see what that does. So obviously, I'm gonna have a similar composition here, just because I have a lot of open space in this section, and I want to kind of hint at that. Ooh, that's pretty. That's really pretty. Oh, I like that. It's like better than I imagined. I don't really know where I'm putting it, but we're gonna put it in here and see what happens. Or it just adds a beautiful sparkle to it. I don't know if I like that clump. Let's fix it. I have this green to put back in here. We can disperse the little pieces. There we go, that's better. You kind of want to hint at something like this, a few spots in the painting, and not just clump it together all in one area. Because otherwise, it just looks too random and it can be distracting. Okay. I like that blue a lot. It's so pretty. Okay. It was a good choice. You never really know till you try it on there. Okay. So there's that. So I'm going to take that same one, and each of these is going to be interesting because there's going to be way less and less each time, obviously. And so when I'm doing this, I want to think exactly where I want them to be. And actually, And this one, I don't have any that's like up in here. And so I might want to hint at some of that so that when I zoom up, it makes sense like, oh yeah, that there's some in here. And they're going to be a little bigger because we're closer, right? And they can kind of overlap other things. But there's not going to be very many of them. So I'm going to kind of put in a few and like call it good because I don't want to go too crazy. Like, is that enough? I think it's enough. I'm going to stop there. So very few on this guy. Still thinking, so the interesting thing about a little series like this is you want them to look good together and make sense together, but you want them to look good on their own. You know, like, does this composition work? Does this composition work? And I think it helps that I'm not actually zooming in on a specific part of each one. It's like I've just made a new painting and just blew up the features a little bit more on each one. Okay, so then this one will be interesting because I do want to put a little blue, but I might honestly put like one there, one here, one here, maybe a little guy here, here, and here. Oh, I got like a trio thing happening. I like that a lot. Okay. Now, to make them just sparkle just a little bit, remember it's good to go in with a little bit of white, not just pure white because that can be too distracting, but mixing more white with the same color just to get kind of a little bit of a sparkle, a lighter version, a lighter value to that color. And I'm just going to, in a few spots, put in just a little bit of a lighter, almost highlight on some of them. Ooh, 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 too much. Just little pieces like that. Perfect. Actually, sorry, didn't get you to see that too much. So just a little bit of sparkle. This one, same thing. Can be a little bit bigger. You don't all have to have one, but there's a little sparkle there. And then these guys can have a lot bigger of a, oh, of a little highlight. Okay, like so. All right, then I want to add the highlighted or the shadow side to each flower. A little bit of purple, a little bit of red. To create, oh, got white in it, ruined it. Oops, oops, oops. Starting over. Okay, just a little bit there. And we're gonna put in a shadowed side to these flowers. It's just a hint really. It's not anything dramatic, but it's enough to, especially when we do the big guys, close up guys, it's gonna make a huge difference. But it brings the highlighted side brighter and it'll define these ones that I kind of hid in here a little bit. Which, speaking of, I want to maybe define those guys a little bit more. Let me do that quickly while I'm thinking of it. So down in here, there's like this one here that Needs just a definition on the top and maybe side with the green, dark green, to just show that that's a flower of its own there. And then probably do a similar thing here, put a little bit of green. Doesn't have to be a ton, just enough to kind of close off a side. And then was that the only, I guess I had this thing up here too. There, so you can see a few more tucked in. All right, now we can go back to the maroon. And as it gets bigger and bigger, it's going to be a little bit more obvious that that shadow is more helpful. It's really just like a, almost like a little watercolor wash just over the corner. I don't know why I chose that side, but we're going to stick with it to keep it consistent with each one. But see, just gives it a little bit of volume. And then with this guy, same thing, but it's going to look even cooler. It can be a little bit, it's maybe a little too dark. Blend it a little bit there. There you go, so you can see how that just creates a little more volume on the one side. Don't want to cover over my cute little blue. I have to fix that one so it doesn't go too crazy. Something like that. Maybe again, it's because it's close up, there's a little bit more detail in it. Not too much. I don't like how dark this is up here. Too much contrast on the edge of my picture. Okay, that's better. I want to fix the little blue one on that one because I kind of covered him up a little bit. Sorry, buddy. Okay, so there's that. A little bit of volume. Do they look like tomatoes anymore? A little bit. All right, then let's see here. Actually, you know what I want to do with this one? Just to, again, emphasize that up close you might see some more detail. I want to just hint at the edge of the circle, so that background color again. Being just a touch irregular, because I have kind of a distinct edge here. And I want to, oh, it's not quite the color of the background. Is this the color of the background? Kind of. Okay, so I'm going to kind of rough edge around a little bit more. I don't know if that's going to do much, but a little bit of something just to give it some more texture. Maybe it'll help them not look so much like tomatoes. Yeah, I don't know. That does a little bit. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, let's see. I just have to assess if like there's too much red over here maybe. If so, then I want to come in and just get rid of some of that. There, that helps a little bit. Just because you don't want that red competing with the other red. The red that's supposed to be the flowers. But you want enough that it's like, oh yeah, you can see the peeking through a little bit. This one I think I'm happy with. And this one I don't know what to do with this one. To fix it, to make it look a little bit more less like tomatoes. I feel like the shape maybe is a little, on this one, a little too rounded. I mean, I just said that, but I meant like actual overall shape. Let's see if I can fix it. Like up here, I want this to come down a little bit more. It's kind of transparent. It's kind of purple. So you can see, I want that to go right in there, just to kind of break up that shape a little bit more. Maybe we'll do the same thing here, so I don't get such a defined little edge. Too much purple. That helps a little bit, actually. Now I need to do it with the yellow background, cream background, but I lost my yellow cream, so I'm gonna have to make it. A little bit of green. It's a hard color to get. Ooh. Oh, I think I got it. Okay. And with that color, kind of doing a similar thing, like breaking up this edge a little bit. It's not quite so perfect. Same in here, kind of being like, how do I make this like irregular? That helps. That helps a lot. Okay, I think I like that much better. I'm liking that this little side has a little highlight on the red. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, a little bit. So I want that to be a little brighter. I'm gonna see if I can lift. I have to do this flat so I can see if I can get it to lift off of there and force it a little bit more. Sometimes you have to force things. Yeah, see that highlight right there? Might do it a little bit on maybe some of these other guys. It's kind of like watercolor. You can kind of lift it if it's fresh enough. Okay. Put in a little bit of some spots too while I was at it. All right. Well, I'm pretty happy with these. And I'm trying to decide what I do with the borders. Oftentimes you just paint them white. That probably is going to look the best. But here's the whole series. I'll hold them up so you can see them all together and how they have the same Same color, same composition. Um, but or different compositions, I should say. Same colors, same subject matter, but completely different outcomes. And how I zoomed up on each one a little bit more, um, add a little interest that way. But yeah, I kind of like them. I don't know. I could display them like I'm thinking up above each other, kind of like this. I don't know which one is in the middle, which one's on top. I can kind of decide how I want to display those. It actually kind of works. Or switch this. Or I could do them in order. Doesn't really matter. But let me know what you think. And thanks for watching this live stream. And I hope it was fun, entertaining in some way. And I know it was kind of the same picture, but hopefully that was interesting to see the 3 different ways you could do it and different compositions and yeah, how it can create a whole different look. So yeah, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video with people that might be interested, and we'll see you next time. Bye.